This video is brought to you by Guided Healing. Today, I want to talk to you about this fascinating and often misunderstood practice of spiritual channeling. As a spiritual hypnotist, I guide clients through this process and I'd like to shed light on its role and its value. I'm going to create a series of videos especially about channeling, so this is the first of them. Today, I'll share with you two audio recordings. One from one of my first ever channeling sessions where we connected with a soul from a previous life. And another, it's a recording from myself as a client demonstrating the kind of information that can come out and how different it is from my usual way of speaking. To keep things simple, let's define channeling or a channeling experience. Channeling experience, it's when the client speaks out during a session in a way that their human self wouldn't usually speak. During channeling, clients share insights, information and philosophies, and they use language and maybe speech patterns that are different to how they would normally speak. When I work with clients, channeling can occur in various ways. Sometimes it happens spontaneously without any formal hypnosis. I have done channeling with clients literally within 30 seconds of starting a session sometimes. Or we can bring about the experience during a hypnosis session. What I would do is I'd help the client to create a safe space to explore. And sometimes it could just happen quite randomly. In a session, we can be doing something unrelated and it's like a voice comes in as if something's been watching or observing and suddenly wants to speak its voice. And when it does that, it usually refers to the client in the third person. Channeling experiences are always very personal. Some people will have very different experiences to what I'm talking about today, and I'd love to hear from you if that's the case. Skeptics could argue that, well, this information that's coming from it could be from the client's subconscious, or perhaps from a movie, maybe a book they've read. And in some cases, yeah, that certainly is possible. What is significant though is the information that comes out gives the client really valuable insights that can be acted on and can help them in their daily life. At times when I personally receive channeled information, it sometimes comes with a recognition that, perhaps I've known this answer all along, but channeling brings it up to the surface so that I can actually acknowledge it and I can use it. This might be, I don't know, as an example, an acknowledgement that maybe a project is distracting me, or a friendship needs to end, or maybe I'm ashamed of something that I don't really want to admit to. Often though, this information can be far more profound, and I've had experiences where very random entities, for want of a better word, have come through. One of my first experiences was with a friend, and we were exploring channeling together for the first time, and totally at random, we connected with a 14-year-old girl from London who had died in, I think, the 1940s. And I'll share a snippet of that recording here. And as soon as you're ready, just show me how you might introduce yourself by saying hello. Okay, wonderful. If you can use Helena's vocal cords in doing that, just see what sound might come out, as if you were greeting me and saying hello.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Excellent. Do you have a name?
Greta?
Greta. Nice to meet you, Greta. Greta, how old are you?
14.
14. Where do you live, Greta?
London?
London. Do you know what year it is at the moment?
1953.
1953. Wonderful. Okay. Are you happy, Greta, in 1953?
No.
No. Why are you not happy, Greta? Now, that recording was with a close friend of mine who I trust implicitly, and she was as shocked at the experience as I was. Towards the end of the session, she experienced this really intense full body shaking, and I'm absolutely certain she could not have done it voluntarily. It was 10 times more intense than I was just demonstrating. I'll cover these random visitations, maybe it's a good word, in a separate video, but today I just want to share the basics. Now, I've had clients who have channeled alien life forms, Jesus, Ganesha, ancestors, spirit guides. For confidentiality, I can't really share too much about the details of those sessions, but I will be sharing more in the future about, on a more general basis. Often, there's nothing coming from the sessions that can be historically verified, but the clients who receive the information always emerge feeling reassured. They gain an understanding and often a solution to a long-standing problem that they originally thought was impossible to solve. The information can be vague, perhaps messages like, oh, this problem will end soon. But I've personally had experiences where clients of mine have channeled really, really specific detailed roadmaps, perhaps telling them which city to move to, what work to specialise in, what training to be taking, and things like that. It all depends on the clients. I've also had sessions with clients where they've obtained information that we have fact-checked afterwards, detailing specific addresses or talking about people that we actually do find records of that the client would not have been able to have known about beforehand. These are the wonderful sessions which leave me buzzing for weeks. Now, I'm not looking to convert the cynics. My belief is that we all individually experience our own truths. And what's true for me might seem absurd to you, and what's true to you might seem absurd to me. But truth is relative. And I very consciously make sure that I give clients very open sessions where I'm very deliberate in not judging and allowing my clients to gain an experience without my personal biases affecting them. And in many instances, I'm absolutely blown away by what comes out. To me, I describe my life as every session feels like a Harry Potter movie coming to life, and I never quite know where it's going to end up. I've had a few times as well where the entities shared their frustration about the client. And they can be quite strong about this. They can lament that they've been trying to communicate with them and the client stubbornly ignoring their messages. And this is often the wake-up call the client needs before they actually turn their life around. They might quit self-medicating or start exercising or making a big decision that they've been putting off. Whatever comes through, though, it always brings answers. It brings understanding, and it always has an immediate and a direct effect on the client's life from that moment onwards. When I'm doing a session, how do I know that a client is channeling? So, as a therapist, I'm quite sensitive to the change in the client's tone and the language which they use. Often, channeled information addresses the client in the third person, and when I've been a client myself, or I've been able to experience channeling through my own meditations, I've recognised that as Martin, I'm hearing the words coming out one by one, and it's a bit like a slow version of ChatGPT. Whilst the speech has got like a consistent pace, I've got no idea how the sentence will end. I'll share with you a recording of myself channeling, and this was me as a client in the kind of hypnosis experience which I tend to give to my clients, and you'll get an idea of how I experience it.
Can you offer Martin any suggestions around how he might get his business started?
Authenticity, playfulness, sense of fun and adventure he used to have, and that's clearly still within him. Share it all, share the learnings, discuss the results. People will soon flock to it.
Yep.
The formal set up of particular market, particular services are going to dissolve. They'll become secondary.
Yeah.
Business is the brand. Brand is Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Love the brand. See the brand explode.
Mm.
Shine a light over everything. And that
Yeah.
will elevate the business and the message. I know that channeling is a contentious issue. I expect to receive a lot of strong opinions about it, and I absolutely welcome that. I'm going to continue sharing videos about it, and in these future videos, I'll be talking about the connotations which channeling has with evil, or the devil, exorcisms, and my experiences dealing with entities that have come through that, to put it euphemistically, have posed quite a challenge to work with. I'll talk about our higher self and the idea that there's an energy that knows all about our human form, all about our problems, and how our higher self can see the big picture and guide us like in a much more enlightened way than our blinkered and limited human self. I'll also share with you how, as a therapist, I use channeling with clients to create a healing blueprint so that every client gets sessions entirely tailored to their needs. And I go in without any assumptions until we get this connection, and then that's when I start to learn. I expect many of you will have some questions. You'll have some opinions perhaps as well about channeling. So please do feel free to comment below or get in touch with me and I'll be sure to reply back personally. Thanks for watching. To learn how spiritual hypnosis can work for you, book in for a free introductory call at guidedhealing.ltd.